Good morning. Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to BWTM Sports Channel. Don't forget to rate, subscribe, and leave your comments. We appreciate it. Okay. In terms of recent sporting, I think in terms of BWTM and what we've covered and what we're about to cover, there's been no fight in boxing that's drawn more attention on our channel than Spence versus Brook, or Brook versus Spence. I don't know why that is, but it seems to draw a lot of attention. Did a recent interview with Carson Jones, who'd fought Kell Brook, and he had some very outspoken opinions of Kell Brook and Errol Spence, and we hope to get an exclusive with Carson Jones live on this channel before they fight. Hopefully we'll get to talk to Derek James as well to hear his opinion, the trainer of Errol Spence, and also we'll be talking to Errol Spence, who has previously backed Kell to beat Spence by knockout. So I've kind of held back on this preview, but I think about time to preview this fight. I'll play a little game with you. Do something different. So when you think Kell Brook, what do you think? Weight, Golovkin, eye socket, chocolate brownie, Eddie Hearn. When I think Errol Spence, I think Brook sparring session, Mayweather sparring session, Floyd Mayweather, Derek James, and what's the other thing I think about Errol Spence? There's another one. There's something I'm missing. Leonard Bundu. So when I think about these two guys, they're the things that come straight from my head. When I think about when I think about Kell Brook, the champion, the IBF champion, I think about his fight with Sean Porter, how he won the title, and his defenses since. When I think about Errol Spence, I think about the way he walked through Bundu and walked through Chris Algieri. On this channel, I predicted that Spence would walk straight through Chris Algieri and he'd knock him down and knock him out. People said to me, "I think that's going to happen. Algieri's a good fight." Algieri was never going to be a good fight because Errol Spence is naturally a big guy. Light middleweight, but he moves down to welterweight. And when Pacquiao fought Algieri, again, he'd moved up from a much lighter division, as with Amir Khan. So I wasn't overly impressed with his performance. Spence against Algieri. And I was overly impressed with the win with Bundu. I was impressed with the way he knocked Bundu out. That was impressive. But then Bundu was 41 years old and wasn't as active as when he fought Keith Thurman. When he fought Keith Thurman, he was on the back of a win against Frankie Gavin. Gavin was unbeaten at the time. He was European champion, Bundu, and he went on to fight Thurman, and Thurman fought on the back foot against Bundu because he respected Bundu's punch power and respected Bundu's strength and knew that Bundu had a great chin. Of course, Spence and Thurman are two different types of fighters. Let's be clear, Thurman is a headhunter. Spence works the body and the head. Two different types of fighters, two different types of approaches. So I'm going to make things very short for this fight. I mean, this preview. And what's going on? Sorry, what's going on here? Let's get that sorted. Camera decided to play hide and seek with me. Don't ask me why. There we go. There we go. Playing hide and seek with the camera. So I break too much on these breakdowns, but Phil Brook when you talk about Kell Brook in preparation to this particular fight, weight, and more weight. How did he lose weight? He's got to get down to welterweight. He's coming back from middleweight down to welterweight. So the weight, the eye socket, is he healed? Is he good? Who's he been sparring with? One thing I will Brook and his team is that they have got some strategy. They took a strategy in with the fight against Porter. They took a strategy in with the fight against Golovkin. Okay, didn't win the Golovkin fight, and he did well against Golovkin, but again, Golovkin hasn't looked, since the Brook fight, he didn't look impressive in his last fight against Danny Jacobs. And Golovkin, is Golovkin on the slide? I don't know. He's now got a fight against Canelo. We're going to find out if Golovkin's on the slide or Brook was really that damn good. So, and Brook would have lost. People say, oh, he didn't knock Brook out, but Brook was on the verge of being stopped. Had Dominic Ingle not coming in from that towel, we probably been talking more damage, and that's something that's key. So you can do all the sparring you want in the world, but it comes down to it. It's a big fight, and that's what's going to matter. So Brook, how did he make the weight? A lot of people talking about Brook making the weight. I will do a video. In fact, I was going to do a separate video, but to save my time, save your time, I'm going to look into something that has popped up. And it's Brook versus Spence Jr. investigation, and this is on the Sky Sports website, into Brook's weight cut back to welterweight. So Kell came into Ventura before a 10-week training camp to get into routine. He does 2 weeks without me, so his weight doesn't look bad. This is his nutritional expert, Greg Marriott. He weighed 12 stone 5 pounds. His body's just so dense. After having 10 months out, we knew he could get back to welterweight, but how long would it take and how hard would it be? So, talking about his diet, they said they put him on a keto diet, so it burns fat. Then they test his blood, then low carb, high diet. A lot of talk about Brook making the weight. You know, he didn't want welterweight. Let's make this clear. He did not want to fight at welterweight. He wanted to fight at light middleweight. That's what Brook wanted. He did not want to fight at welterweight, but he's come back. He was forced to fight at welterweight. So he's a guy that doesn't want to be at welterweight, and for me, has said he struggles at welterweight. So what he's done down to weight is God only knows. But we know, on the other hand, Errol Spence didn't have to worry about making weight. He has just been working on and improving technique. How much is weight making will be a factor to Kell Brook come fight night. And in terms of Spence, we know Spence works the body. He's a wicked body puncher. And will those body punches take out anything on Kell Brook? This is the fight panning out for what it's worth. Key points: the southpaw and orthodox. Brook being the orthodox, Spence being the southpaw. For me, Spence, Brook has to use all his experience he's got to fight in southpaws, and the big right hand is the key. How big a puncher Brook is at world elite level, I don't know, and that could be a key, because if Brook can't hurt Spence, there's a problem. If Brook can hurt Spence, we've seen he's been hurt in the past. It was a long time ago. We've seen him been hurt in the past, so when he gets hurt, he is less likely to engage. So Brook's best chance in this fight is to take centering. Brook must take centering when he fights Spence. Make sure his back doesn't touch the ropes, and he keeps centering. That's his best chance of being Errol Spence. For Errol Spence, his best chance. So he's got to keep Spence at mid to long range, so he can use them big right hands. They like to leap in with them right hands, the straight right hand. And that's perfect. He's got the perfect punch against the southpaw. Now, and he's got to throw lots more punches than he did against Golovkin, and he's got to throw in combinations. His work rate's got to be much higher. And I think that Brook's work rate is centered around his weight and him making weight. And I think, you know, and he did at middleweight, there should have been no excuses. More punches together against Golovkin, but you fight the way you're used to fighting. So what he did, he moved up to middleweight with those welterweights of how he fought up at middleweight, and he didn't throw as many combination punches together as he could. Okay, so that was something I think that's programming to Brook. And now he's a guy who'll throw one shot and then 1-2 and then 1-2-3. And you saw it again. He fights in spurts. So he's got to take this fight center the ring and keep us not allow Brook to Spence to keep his back against the ropes. Now on the flip side of this, Spence, he's got to use his jab and he's got to push Brook back against the ropes and to land wicked body shots and head shots. That's his best for me. Spence has got to land wicked body shots, to head and body. And I think Brook is fighting a guy, not Porter now. This is a guy who plants wicked shots to body and head. He works, he's not just a headhunter, he's a body puncher. So that's Brook has got to be so careful, because that is where I think for Spence he's going to be working the body and testing Brook's body. Now the other thing is, we know there's some things Kell Brook can do and there's some things Kell Brook cannot do. One of the things we know Kell Brook cannot do categorically is fight on the inside. That means at close range. Brook cannot fight at close range. Everything Brook has to do has to be distance. Look at his knockouts, look at his fights. Everything has to be at a distance. So he cannot afford. So he's when Brook fights, he's going to keep Spence. See, Spence is here. He's going to keep Spence at that distance there. He can't afford Spence to close the range and fight up close. He's got to keep the fight at distance. Okay, and pin with straight right hands down the pipe and left hooks. Now Spence, for all he is, he's not a defensive genius. Spence, he's not. He was getting tagged with punches coming in by Leonard Bundu. Now, Leonard Bundu and Kell Brook are two different situations altogether. Straight right hand, which is key. The other thing is key in this fight are corners. Dominic Ingle and Derek James. Derek James told me exclusively that in an interview, he said to me, we don't bring in sparring partners because we've got world-class fighters. He's got a few other fighters in his camp. So he believes that Errol Spence is sparring with world-class fighters. As for Kell Brook, I don't know who he's been sparring with since, but you know, I don't know who's been using the southpaw to prepare. But there's one thing about the Ingle camp: they have a knack of doing well against, of course, they know the southpaw style. I don't know how much Spence is aware of that, and that could be key for Brook as well. So I said the corners and implement game plans. Plan against Porter. Now, as far as I was concerned, I think that Porter won that fight. So, you know, and then the fight he had again, although they did the right thing, stopping Porter by holding him and tying him up, those strategies will not work against Spence. Absolutely not, because Spence can fight on the inside and he can fight from distance, but he fights more. He likes to take the fight up close. He likes to plug forward and throw shots to the body. The one shot also I think Brook should look for against Spence is the short uppercut, because it comes forward. You'll see Spence sometimes he lunges forward, but when he lunges forward, he leaves his chin open, so he's open for Brook to land the uppercut. The uppercut is a good shot against Spence as he comes in. So the uppercut and straight right hand and left hook combination, they're going to be shots that Spence and Brook must be working on all the time. And if he hits and hurts Spence early, I don't think Spence is going to be that willing to engage if he hurts Spence. I really don't. There's some fighters, when they get hurt, they get very defensive first. I suspect Spence is one of these. Spence will get hit in this fight. It's just a matter of stand up to the power. So his chin will be tested in this fight, and his heart will be tested in this fight. We all know about Kell Brook's heart. We know about his ability to take, his ability to fight. The Carson Jones fight, of course, was his crisis fight. We saw how he handled that. We haven't seen Errol Spence in a real crisis fight. We have to go back a few years to see when he got clipped with one shot and it was hurt. There's somebody on YouTube's got that shot where he got hit on the chin, played over and over again. Things that some people do on YouTube. They've got no time. They've got lots of time to spare to do nonsense like that. So I think it's key. Strategy is going to be key in this fight. Also, I've just had news come through that big oversight by Spence's camp not to get neutral referee from the IBF. Well, Howard Foster can do so much. I'll tell you something. If Brook Spence hurt early, you can expect the old Howard Foster to try and stop the fight. Shout out to Howard Foster, by the way. Really nice enough guy. But we all know about those stoppages. But then, having said that, people jump to the defense of George Groves in the first fight. What a lot of people don't know is that George Groves was badly concussed by Froch in that first fight. Those on the inside know that. But I'm sure when Howard Foster reveals in book one day, we'll know more about that George Groves situation, a premature stoppage, as people call it. Dan Mack says all the smart money seems to be on Spence. I hope I can pull this out of the bag. My fear is that he could be drained. He could be drained, but the thing is, in the first 6 rounds, he won't be weight drained. It will be the second half of the fight that could be key, I think. But the other thing is punch resistance. How does Kell Brook's punch resistance hold up against Spence? Coming back down to welterweight. So many question marks there. He's coming back down 13 pounds. When does this kind of thing ever work in boxing? I think we will be looking back at that as being the beginning of the end. Well, I said that before. I've said it before and I'll say it again. The Gennady Golovkin fight should not have been taken, especially when we knew when the next fight was going to be Errol Spence. Ingles, a superb at coaching body defense. Kell should be well schooled there. Be such since a kid. You can be all you want, but well schooled. He wasn't so well schooled when he fought Carson Jones. That is still there, and he was getting hit with body shots over and over again by Carson Jones. I said in that fight, if you go back and look at my old videos on prediction of Brook versus Carson Jones, I predicted Carson Jones would knock Brook out, and he almost did in that last round. You know, he's very lucky. Brook, very, very lucky in that fight. Jamie Cox. Why is everyone high Cox up so fast? I don't get it. And the other thing is, Brook, they don't generally do head sparring. It's all about body sparring. And I don't know I was talking about Jamie Cox so much. Kell sparring Jamie Cox, Craig Cunningham and John Ryder. So what? Say what you want. Don't mind taking tough fights about Kell Brook. That's true. Porter won that fight. Well, I'm not sure if Porter did win. I thought Porter won the fight. I didn't see, and it was a close fight. I think that Porter won the fight by landslide. I saw Porter win it by 1 or 2 rounds. But hey, neither here nor there. That's what I think. I didn't say Porter won the fight. I said, my opinion, Porter won the fight. Kell Brook beat Spence. Kell Brook plus 170, good value. Michael Wilson. Oh, yes, I'm going with Spence, but wouldn't be surprised if Brook won. Should be a terrific fight. Is it a coincidence Spence has been kept away for punching for it? Now, I've always said that. I've always said that if you go back to recent, go back to when I spoke about boxing before, if you see a fighter that avoids punches, always something behind that. The management know that the guy may not have a great chin. Now, I want to go on to this thing about the sparring session with Broner. Broner is not welterweight. Broner is a lightweight that couldn't discipline himself, that's fought up at welterweight. Understand this. So when you hear about, well, I sparked Broner's a lightweight. Oh, well, I gave Floyd a black eye. Yes, but Floyd, again, started a much lower weight division. So naturally, you're going to bully guys like that. I want to hear you say, Errol Spence, that I schooled Charlo in sparring. I want to hear that. Talk to me about that. Talk about lower weight division guys that you've been beating up on. I don't want to hear that. What happened to Spence and Mayweather? I thought Floyd pulled back. I don't know, but I will talk to Derek James about that as well. We'll talk to him. Brook displayed a masterclass of boxing against Porter and won every round in my eyes. Well, that's why we have such different people doing different judging around the world. That we can see one thing and somebody can see something else. I mean, you know, the other night I saw a fight on Sky Sports with what's the guy who fought the other night? Oh, Rocky Fielding. Was it Rocky Fielding? Fought in a fight against John Ryder, and John Ryder won that fight. And the fight against Murray versus Rosado clearly won that fight. And then the other night I saw on BT Sports, I can't remember who it was boxing, and you knew he lost that fight. But anyway, Porter didn't land more than 5 clinches all night. Well, okay, I'm not here to talk about Porter and Brook. I gave you my opinion. I'm not going to talk about it any further. Yeah, that could be an interesting point. I always have my biggest concern about Spence is his chin. I don't know how good his chin actually is. So that's my concern about him. Real concern about his chin. And not only his chin, when he engages, he leaves his chin in the air, so he's vulnerable to get hit. So he's a very good counter puncher, Brook. I'll give him that. Brook is a very good counter puncher. So if I'm Spence, I get behind my jab, close Brook down, close the range down Brook as quick as possible, and work the body. Now I don't know also if Brook is intimidated by Spence. If he's intimidated, that's another thing, because when the guy's intimidated big fights, what can happen is one of two things can happen. They can fight or flight. Fight or flight, meaning the fight means that they're really gonna perform better than they normally do. So the adrenaline is gonna really make them fight much better, more conscious, much more aware. They're aware of everything, very, very sharp. And then you've got those other guys who come a big fight, they freeze. Brook, so far, he can rise to the occasion. Spence has it all to answer, to be honest. I don't know. That's countering ability. That's another thing. I don't know. I really don't know about his fight. Spence has got a lot to answer. If he does beat Brook, then great. It's a future superstar. I'm not going to call Spence a superstar about Brook. Simple. And if Brook beats Spence, I'm not going to call him Brook a superstar either. I'll say it's a good win. That's it. There's not much more I can really say about this preview, to be honest, because there's so many unanswered questions about Spence. But what I do like about Errol Spence, he works the body head beautifully. So for me to break this fight down, it's Brook's experience, you know, being hit and hurt in a fight. I take the Carson Jones fight as that situation there. Fighting Gennady Golovkin, when he fought Gennady Golovkin. Well, look, I fought Golovkin, then I've got the confidence to go and beat Spence. If Brook beats, if he wins, is he a pound for pound? No, he's not. No. We beat Porter. Now, for me, Brook has to go on and fight Keith Thurman. Now, if he beats Keith Thurman, now we're talking. If anyone gets slightly hurt, Hal Foster will stop it. Why do I not think Brook is pound for pound? Well, what makes him pound for pound? What makes him pound for pound? He lost to Golovkin. He beat Sean Porter. Sean Porter has then since been beaten by Keith Thurman and dropped by Broner. I mean, you know, and then he had that ugly win against Berto. I mean, you know, we don't even know what Brook is like. We don't know what Brook is like post Golovkin. What's left of Brook? We don't know what ability he's like now, coming back down in weight. We don't know what Brook is like mentally when he gets hit hard again. We don't know what he's like. We know what it was like like pre-Golovkin. We don't know what he's like post-Golovkin. So already people have Errol's pound for pound. No, these are premature. These are premature analysts. Premature analysts. I mean, I don't understand how people can. A person can be pound for pound and not even fought for a world title or won a world title. I mean, what makes you pound for pound? Beating Leonard Bundu. Beating Leonard Bundu. Does that make you pound for pound? Beating up Chris Algieri. Does it make you pound for pound? Come on, come on. So, well, you know, Teddy Atlas. Did Teddy Atlas say that he was a pounder? Teddy Atlas. I don't rate Teddy Atlas as a trainer. I never rate Teddy Atlas as a trainer. But then, you know, pound for pound can it be based on a fantastic point there, Jordan answered. Pound for pound cannot be raced based on potential. Pound for pound has to be based on what you've done, right? You know, you could take Lomachenko being a pound for pound fighter based on, you know, the fact he's got a world title and done well so far. I still think that's sort of making him a pound for pound fighter because he has to have that rematch against the guy that beat him the first time round. Like to see him beat him and then beat some other named opponents. Yes, he beat what's his name, the guy from Jamaica, the Axeman. That's a good win, but there's more than that. So pound for pound, I don't know. You're basically telling me Errol Spence, pound for pound. That means that in every weight category, Errol Spence would be very successful. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Andre Ward, I can understand pound for pound based on skill set. And by the way, Andre Ward is my favorite fighter. I've never told you guys and girls, but Andre Ward is my favorite fighter. Class act in and out of the ring. Fantastic fighter, able to adjust his style, fights all comers. Love Andre Ward. But anyway, so my final prediction in this fight is that the fighter that can execute his game plan the best wins. Brook, how much is left of him after the fight? Spence, how good is he actually? Not based on sparring stories, not based on beating an over the hill, more or less retired Leonard, not beating a lightweight in Algeria, but now two guys fighting each other, both division. What happens? Can Spence take Brook's power? Is Brook a genuine world-class puncher? If you ask the question, who has Brook knocked out at world level? As for Spence, well, who's he knocked out at world level? You know, so those questions need to answer there. Spence, what's his chin like at world level? Brook's chin seemed to hold up at middleweight, hold up well against Porter. So we'll have to wait and see. Brook seems the more sturdy of the two guys. Pre-Golovkin. Post-Golovkin, I don't know. And it doesn't bode well when guys come down from weight division back down to welterweight. I haven't seen guys do well. I've seen guys struggle when they've come back down that much weight. And Brook doesn't like outside the ring. So you've got to think about Golovkin plus 10 months out of the ring plus the eye socket and all the rest of it. Bray Ryan says, Ingram, who do you think will come out on top in the welterweight division out of Brook, Spence, Thurman, and Manny? Well, Manny's not in the mix because Manny is not prepared to top guys. And when he does fight, he'll probably fight Crawford, and Crawford will sort that situation out. As for, I think Thurman's the top guy in the welterweight division. He's fought Sear, he's fought Porter. So Thurman is, for me, the number one welterweight in the world. For me, based on the guys he has fought. Regardless of promotional garbage, he's the number one guy in the welterweight division. He's the unified champion. So and Thurman was one of the guys I picked out a long time ago and said he was a very good fighter. Very good long term. Brook has Pacquiao power where he can drop you. I think you're very, very biased Brook supporter. Brook has Pacquiao power. I don't don't know about that. Knocked out top guys. I don't think Brook's got Pacquiao power. I'm sorry. And if you're going to say that, who was Brook knocked out of world class? Name me one guy Brook knocked out. Please let me know. I'd love to know. Not based on fight like champion, but who was Brook knocked out? Does Thurman give Prime Floyd problems? Ask the question. Does Prime Floyd Mayweather fight Thurman? Punch. Thurman is flat-footed, I would say. Thurman can work behind the jab. No, I don't. I don't. Thurman punches wide. He punches wide. Yeah, Thurman is wide, and he leaves himself exposed a lot. He's not defensively responsible, and I think that Floyd would tag Thurman for going box on the back foot against Floyd. That's what I think would happen. So Thurman would try to have that box Floyd off the back foot. Don't see it happen. Brook's best stoppage win is Sinchenko, say no more. Well, there you go. And the Sinchenko fight, before he was badly wobbled by Sinchenko before he got stopped. And Sinchenko, his record is very much, you know, if I'm correct, didn't Paulie Malignaggi beat Sinchenko? Oh my dear me. Not knockout by, but he dropped Manny versus Marquez, Manny versus Vargas, Manny versus Barrera. Why are you comparing a legend and a great fighting Manny Pacquiao Brook? Oh, dear me. Oh, dear. Change your nickname, change your YouTube nickname from Jabba to Jibber Jabber. Then I know who you are. Yo, Anonymous. Well, anyway, I look forward to the fight of Bramall Lane. I look forward to talking to their names and catching up and getting more information as possible. And stay tuned to BWTM. I'm sure we'll have some breaking news stories and news coming up shortly. And just a side note, Chantel Cameron has turned pro under Shane McGuigan and Cyclone Oceans, and Shane McGuigan is a trainer. So that's that. Side note. Yes, Paulie has 7 KOs and he's one of them. There you go. Sort your connection, Ingram. I don't know. People could say sort my connection. There's nothing wrong with my connection. I think it's a Google Hangout conspiracy, I think. Right. I am out of here. You all take care. We'll speak soon. This has been BWTM Sports Channel.